Hey crypto traders, checking in on the markets today. First thing, we're going to look at our 3 little laggards and a trade strategy that we can use that's been working over the past year as far as names to be watching when profits are rotating around. And then from there, we're going to look at our regular old technical analysis as daily consolidation is underway and lots of traders on the sidelines are going to be looking to establish some positions after missing the last 3 weeks. Before we get into it, I'm going to do a live Q&A here on YouTube this Sunday, noon Eastern. Post any questions that you have in the comments of this YouTube video. I'll select a bunch of them and answer them, but I will also leave time to interact with you all in the YouTube chat room and answer questions on the fly as well. I'll post the links for it on Facebook and Twitter and all our social medias when the time arrives. Check it out. The first thing we're going to talk about here is the laggard situation. So just observation of the last year of trading, and the last time this took place, it was on a longer term time frame. We saw the cryptocurrency space break bull, and I'm talking about the bull run that led up to this new all-time high. We then saw the major alts go with it. ETH is one of the first major alts to run with Bitcoin. And we then had our profits rotating around to other names. And the laggards, some of the last names to run were Litecoin, XRP, and Dogecoin. And those BTC pairings were just long sustained downtrends. They were eventually falling wedges that broke bullish in a very big way as those names quickly caught up and had their turn, and their turn lasted multiple weeks. So that stage was set as far as an observation of a pattern that took place months ago. So now that we've set our monthly high or low on Bitcoin, the same thing was taking place. Bitcoin, big bull move. Confidence returns to the cryptocurrency space over the last 3 weeks. We see profits rotate around ETH, and then some of the other bigger altcoins, FTT had its run. We then saw ADA and Link and all these other names, and now we were watching our laggards again for the same type of setup. And I wasn't sitting there watching every single day, but Dogecoin gave a signal. So Dogecoin had its bull break on August 7th, and again, if we're just comparing it to Bitcoin, looking back at August 7th on Bitcoin, we were already well into this bull move. Now here's August 7th, a higher high on the daily and a huge move off the low. And Dogecoin at that point had bounced off of its low, but it was underperforming Bitcoin massively at that point in time. So this one day changed everything, August 7th. And after seeing that major pump on August 7th in Dogecoin, we then knew, watch Ripple, watch Litecoin, because they are the next ones that are going to go in this laggard rotation game. So on Twitter, on August 7th, on that day, Doge getting some laggard love means traders are watching XRP and LTC. So from there, and just marked where that tweet was, and again, this isn't necessarily to say, hey, look how right I was, because I don't trade these names, and I didn't make any money from this. But it's just an educational aspect of observation and knowing what to look for next time around. So Litecoin on the 7th had a bull response the day that Dogecoin did as well, but then it took its turn afterwards. So let's just take the high of August 7th and then the high of where we topped out, and we went 15% more. Dogecoin, the high of August 7th, and then where we topped out, probably similar, a little bit less, 11, 12%. What was Bitcoin doing? High of August 7th to where we topped out. Bitcoin was doing nothing, 4%. So Bitcoin was trading sideways and allowing that rotation game to go on. So the LTC BTC chart, there was August 7th, and then August 9th is when it took off with that 4-day bull move. XRP took a little bit longer. There's August 7th, and it did participate, but again, not significantly, but from the high of August 7th, we then ran 33% higher. And we can see it took 4 days. Here's August 7th, when the observation was made. Watch these names now. Tight, tight, tight. And August 11th, it took its turn. So Litecoin had a turn from essentially August 9th to this morning. And XRP had a shorter turn, but it was essentially just yesterday with that big surge up. So clues. There are clues, there are patterns, and rotation of profits is absolutely something worth watching for. Another factor is, once all of the laggards have run, watch for daily consolidation. And that was something else that we were keeping an eye on. So shout out to Downster and to Joey, because we were all on the same page in the chat room just talking about loving everybody's activity and contributions. Remember, the market environment will be shifting for bounce plays, and I'm talking about bounce plays on the altcoins that are running double-digit %, and then we're looking for the 5-minute oversold backburner bounce, hourly oversold backburner bounce. But remember, the market environment will be shifting for bounce plays when Bitcoin sees daily consolidation next. And that means a bit less aggressive on the bounces and perhaps waiting for a longer-term time frame to get oversold. And then we had Farming Man Downster, some alts breaking up but pulling back, putting on his cautious pants and going to bed. And then Joey, when XRP is the last to run, take your profits. So essentially just all of us recognizing the shift in the market environment and the fact that daily consolidation was likely. And there was one more signal that I was looking for daily consolidation to be likely, and it was using the Bitcoin dominance chart. So at 5 p.m. yesterday, it was just an observation of a number of things. Number one, this was Bitcoin's hourly rising wedge. It broke bear, and then we were just grinding up and back testing that previous support, now resistance. Honestly, I didn't factor that in much, and I didn't even have this chart up, but interesting to look back at this pattern that I had drawn previously. But what stood out for me was the dominance chart. So at 5 p.m. yesterday, the Bitcoin dominance chart daily bear flag has confirmed. So we had this little weak bounce into a lower low. But with all these alts running, keeping an eye out for a bounce where, as we are in a, I meant to say here, keeping an eye out for a bounce here as we are in a 4-hour waterfall. So at that point in time, the dominance chart, 4-hour waterfall into oversold conditions, scouting a bounce. So then I look to myself, I say, okay, I'm looking for a dominance bounce. There are two ways that the dominance chart can bounce. Number one, Bitcoin breaks higher and moves up faster than altcoins. Number two, Bitcoin drops down and the altcoins drop faster. And I'm thinking, okay, well, if the altcoins are running double-digit % days, the more likely scenario, in my opinion, is that we consolidate and the altcoins drop faster because they didn't build a lot of support on the way up. So it's easier for them to drop faster on the way down. So I play those two scenarios out in my head. Okay, what's the more probable scenario? Bitcoin bulls looking a little tired. We have a little bit of a 12-hour double top. The bull breaks have not been seeing much follow through. And I put that in addition to the fact that the altcoins can pull back fast without a whole lot of support established. And I determined that consolidation in the cryptocurrency space with altcoins dropping faster would be the most likely reason that the dominance chart would bounce. So I would not be surprised by the reason Bitcoin dominance bounces being Bitcoin consolidating and alts dropping harder after they have all been running much harder. Long story short, keep an eye out for some consolidation. So again, this is me using clues, and I posted that on this green candle here, so not a huge move off of this bounce, but the bounce is underway now after that waterfall drop. But it was Bitcoin posted here on this candle, and it's been nothing but bear follow through from there. So that's just an example of how my brain works when I'm looking at all these little moving pieces of this puzzle to determine what is the most likely scenario. Because there's clues in the dominance chart, there's clues in the altcoins, there's clues on the Bitcoin chart. And sometimes they all those little pieces come together to form a picture that can have you saying, okay, this is the most likely scenario. There are times where I'll look at all those things and I won't get any kind of complete picture. And it'll just be that stage of the market environment. It's not very clear. But as for yesterday, all the pieces gave me that very clear picture saying this is the most likely scenario. So now from here, we've got Bitcoin looking for a bounce. I sold a third of my Bitcoin and Ethereum into the bull move on the way up. And on first hourly oversold conditions, I am entering them back. I have entered them back. So entering on daily consolidation, this is an aggressive entry. This is an entry where if it's a daily bull flag, I'm going to be back in my full swing position and I won't be left in the dust. But I would not be surprised if we see further daily consolidation from here, and a more patient trader would be waiting for first 4-hour oversold conditions, perhaps. I'm looking at a 15-minute falling wedge here. We got a downtrending support line to be keeping an eye on that we are bouncing off of. And we got a resistance line, which on Bitcoin is more of a channel, where I could also draw with a different anchor point and make it tighter like this to be a falling wedge. The Ethereum chart is a more convincing falling wedge on the 15-minute time frame, in my opinion. Look at that volume climax trying to form here. But there's our 15-minute downtrending support, and resistance is more wedge-like as far as its condensing, I should say tightening range. So looking for a short-term bounce. That being said, my observation is, okay, this is Bitcoin's first hourly oversold, and we didn't bounce right when we hit 30, which would be the ideal bull scenario. We are struggling to get a bounce going. I do believe a bounce is coming here in the short term, but the fact that we had the RSI drop down to the mid to lower 20s is a red flag for me that further daily consolidation is likely coming, which means bears that are aggressive on the 4-hour time frame, next time we bounce on the 4-hour, anything under 46.8 thousand is a 4-hour lower high. So that means aggressive bears and top fishing bulls that want to hedge a position. Say I'm in a swing position based on the monthly time frame and I want to hedge, I can look to short a 4-hour lower high and put my stop over the high at this point. So we're scouting short-term bounces. We will scout hourly lower highs to be the result of those short-term bounces, and the bulls will be hoping that it is a big enough hourly bounce that we can see that 4-hour bounce. And then we would zoom out and scout the 4-hour lower high. So again, just the zoom out game as far as looking for a 15-minute falling wedge. If it breaks bull, we zoom out, scout an hourly lower high. If we change the trend, we zoom out, we scout a 4-hour lower high. So from here, I am back to my monthly swing position full. I have plenty of cash still because that's not a large monthly position. And the next time I'll be looking to enter that will be on weekly consolidation. To see this size of a move with no weekly high or low, as a patient, so again, aggressive, re-adding what I sold because I want that back. That's a monthly position that I want to hold for months. Patient on making that position any bigger, and I'm waiting for weekly consolidation and a weekly high or low. I'll be watching 4-hour oversold conditions, and you know my strategy if you've been watching, where I will look to play a 4-hour oversold bounce, and I'll sell half of my position on the initial bounce to give myself a break even that's ideally under the low at that point, where I can put my stop on a risk-free trade, which again is exactly what I did on the drop under 30,000 to establish this swing position. And we'll be looking for weekly consolidation if daily EMA 12 support is lost. So that is where we stand overall. I appreciate you watching. Do good things. Hopefully this was insightful. Give a comment and a like if it was.